Episode 24 of Chat with Ryan. We just did an attempt to get Daniel on. We're just gonna see if this works. Hopefully this gets through whilst we're waiting for Dan. Let's see. I can see Dan has signed in from Actors Crib. Hello. Let's see if Actors Crib. Oh, why isn't it not working? Dan, what's happening here? Have you blocked your settings to go live, maybe? Let's see. I'll send another request. Guys, bear with us as we work through the technical difficulties as always. Oh no, it's saying Actors Crib is unable to join. Dan, you might need to go onto your private and try from there again. Don't know why this is having an issue. I've never had this issue before.
How are we doing?
Hello!
Finally, magic.
What happened?
Keep them waiting. Yeah.
That was. I was starting to freak out there.
Yeah. No, of course. Can I put this on a vertical or horizontal?
I think if you do, that will be very damaging because you're like this now.
Okay, let's get
so
this.
It needs to be like this. I have to do your intro again because this is a whole new live. We stopped. So I have to do your intro again. So whilst you sip your tea, I'll do a quick little intro of yours again. So guys, welcome to Chai with Rai. I'm Rai. This is Daniel. For those of you who do not know, Daniel is an actor or mentor, coach, writer, producer based in London. His career expands over 40 plus movies in the last 25 years after his graduation in 96. His works include being on BBC's TV series Doctors, John Carter, where he played Vasco, that's a Disney movie, Far From China, Holby City, The Thompsons, Deadly Famous with Eric Roberts, shorts such as Hair Lies, Relapse, Crushed Young, Armed and Dangerous, and the award-winning movie in 97 called Under the Skin. His work also include, which I just finished watching, Ironclad, and I have a question about that with you, Daniel, where he plays Philip, and it's a really beautiful movie starring Brian Cox, Derek Jacobi, James Pureboy, Charles Dance, and Kate Mara, to name a few. He's also the founder of Actors Crib, where you can do weekly drop-in classes, one-to-one practice work, and intensives. Hello!
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Are you finding your foot where to place me exactly?
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time I've done this Instagram live, so it's completely, yeah, it's a bit, yeah. Okay, I'm going to put it up here.
No worries.
How's that?
Yeah, I'm fine, as long as you're fine. Are you standing or are you going to sit?
Yeah, I'm standing. I've got a cup of tea here.
You're going to be standing this entire situation?
I can always sit down again.
That is true.
I've got my arms resting.
We are going to get into a warm-up game before we do any sort of situation. And this game is called 5-Second Rule, okay? The game is called 5-Second Rule, and what you're doing is I will say 3 things, and you have 5 seconds to name those 3 things. So if I was to say 5 ways of saying hello, you have 5 seconds and 5 ways. Yeah?
Okay.
Got it? So your first thing is name 3 different ways to say goodbye.
Piss off, fuck off, and arrivederci.
Okay, that exceeded 5 seconds.
Are we going to get banned from Instagram?
No, you won't. Instagram is very loose these days. Okay. Name 3 things you say when you walk into your home.
Beautiful. Home. Comfortable. Safe.
Fake?
Safe, safe.
Oh, safe. I thought you said fake. Wow.
No, safe, safe.
Name 3 things you find in your fridge. Go.
Hummus, tomatoes, mango.
Oh, you ran out. Tomato? Okay.
Just top of the head.
Okay, cool. You got to be quick. Come on, come on. Name, are you ready? 5 seconds. 3 Bob Dylan songs that Bob Dylan would sing whilst he was shopping at Tesco's. Go.
Something in the wind, blowing in the wind. What it's called? Oh, Jesus. No, God.
Tambourine.
I'm a little slow.
Tambourine Man.
Tambourine
Okay.
Man. Yeah.
And lastly, name 3 things Daniel Day-Lewis would say if he was to walk into a party. Go.
I don't want to be here. Too many people. Get me out of there. Get me out of here.
Nice one. Well, thank you for doing that. Hello, how are you? How was your day? How's your week been? Other than I saw you on Tuesday.
Yeah, no, it's been fine, thanks, Raimu. It's been a bit stressful today. Quite a bit of stuff going on, but you know, I'm present and I'm with you now, so I'm going to have a nice time.
Were you teaching early on today?
I was doing a bit of teaching, but I had other stuff to deal with, so you know, it was one of those days.
Got it. Well, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate this. One thing I do want to let you know is Instagram allows us to talk for 4 hours. I can also go on a tangent, and the guests can also go on a tangent. So if you're running for time and you're like, I need to go, just literally do this and I'll start editing and I'll start wrapping up.
I'll make another cup of tea, yeah?
Go ahead. Go ahead. What are you drinking anyway, by the way?
I'm drinking a chamomile, bog standard chamomile tea from Twinings.
Nice. I've got a nice little ginger tea over here.
Well, I'm jealous.
Why? Make yourself a ginger tea.
I love a ginger tea as well.
Make yourself a ginger tea. I recently came across this situation where what you do is you cut ginger and you put it in this and you literally just let it soak. So you know sometimes when teas have like little seeds, they just don't fall out.
Yeah.
It really sits and stays in there. Daniel, this entire week I've been researching on you, and I just want to ask you 2 random facts, okay, that I have very much been inquisitive about. One, when I typed in your name into YouTube, Joe O'Mara came up like a very much amount. Do you know who Joe O'Mara is?
No idea.
Okay, well then this defeats the question. Joe O'Mara is a girl from S Club 7, so I wanted to ask if you have any relationship with her.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I make a special point of not going onto YouTube or Google to Google my name, just in case some of those skeletons from the past come back out. So I'm really kind of very cagey about going into those. So I have no idea who this Joe O'Mara is.
Okay, well now you know. If anybody ever asks that, you know, there's somebody with your last name who's in S Club 7, you can be like, she's my sister, or I know her, she's my ex. And the second is, I just finished watching Ironclad. Did you really eat a cockroach?
No.
What was that?
It was a cockroach.
Yeah, but what did you eat?
Well, it was a kind of plant, I don't know, some sort of, they made it into some sort of edible thing, but it wasn't a cockroach. Or was it? I can't remember. It was a long time back. If I was, I probably, it may well have been eaten ahead of it. Yeah. Something.
Oh my God. That entire movie is, by the way, very nice. But I was like, the gruesome details of this. My favorite scene in that will be this guy who chops off somebody's arm, and then they're fighting, and somebody grabs the arm and literally is beating the other person to death. It's a really good movie. I liked it.
Good.
Thank you. And we're going to go down memory lane. And my first question I'm going to ask you is, what is your earliest memory of acknowledging the medium that is acting? And secondly, what is your earliest memory of when you decided to go acting as a career?
Yeah, interesting. Well, that's pretty easy. The first question is very easy. I played Fagin when I was about 8 years old at primary school, and you know, I tested positive. I was hooked. I realized this is very me. I really enjoyed it. It was probably the best performance I've ever given. Everything's gone downhill since.
Don't say that.
But no, I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I thought, you know, this is it. This is me. But I didn't get back into it for years later because the school I went to afterwards had no creative outlet at all. It was a boarding school for boys only that was mostly for one parent families and problem kids. And
Oh,
not to say I was a problem kid, but I went there and there was no creativity. There was no plays. There was no outlets. So I kind of drifted for a bit, and it wasn't until my so I'm going to answer both questions. It wasn't until sort of early 20s did I sort of get back in there and realize, this is me. This is me.
When you say you were, you might have not been a naughty kid, what sort of kid were you growing up then? I'm intrigued to know now.
Well, when I was a young boy, I was a pretty serious. I mean, I was full of hope and joy. I went to a really good primary school. This really good sort of. It was a left wing sort of very, very warm. It was a terrific school, and then I went into this other school that was the polar opposite. I mean, not to say it didn't have any good sides to it. I mean, it certainly toughened you up, but there was a lot of bullying. It was tough. It was boys only. It was very brutal, and there was a lot of damaged boys in there. So you're talking about it was tough. You had to adapt, and. Yeah.
If you had to go back, would you have gone to a co-ed school? You rather enjoyed the experience of now if you look back at it?
If I was to go back again, I wouldn't go back to that school. I mean, I think there's definitely some. I take some pluses and positives from it. I have no regrets, but I certainly, if you were to go back in time, I would not go there.
No,
I would have gone somewhere else.
To a co-ed school or still a boys?
Probably a co-ed school, absolutely, a co-ed school, and something certainly with more creativity. I mean, I was actually going to go to Italia Conti when I was, really? But I didn't want to do the tap dancing and ballet at that time. I was too into football and I was into the sports, so I kind of passed that on. But I was very close to going there, and but yeah. I would definitely have gone to a co-ed school, something a bit more creative, something a bit more, where you could have more of a creative outlet for sure.
I'm intrigued to know, what was your first acting job, and how do you think your process to it or your outlook from your first acting job to your recent acting job has changed?
Well, the first acting job I got I was lucky. When I came out of drama school, I got Under the Skin, which was a film with Samantha Morton, Stuart Townsend, Rita Tushingham. I mean, it was an award-winning film that did very well. So I was lucky.
They've done a remake of it, haven't they, with Scarlett Johansson, I think.
Yeah, it was completely different though. Maybe they used some sort of. I never saw it actually. I think Jonathan Glazer, who directed that, who did Sexy Beast. No, Under the Skin was. I think there may have been some similarities. There may have been some similarities. Definitely some similarities. It was a great film, and it did me a lot of favors. I mean, it got me work. It got me into a lot of good European, interesting, arty films, those kind of Lars von Trier's type films. So I got into a lot of that, and through that film, because it did very well in Europe. And it also got me a good agent in the States. They wanted me over there because it had quite a bit of kudos. But yeah, I mean, it was a kind of an edgy, arty kind of film, and it was Samantha Morton's first. She'd done Band of Gold, so it was her first big feature, I think, and she just flew after that. So it was a great experience. I mean, all the boys were just cameos in it, really. We were just siphons in the film. It was all about her, really. So she drove it all the way through. But it was, I went in there. I felt really comfortable actually, because I've been sort of doing workshops. I'd done drama school. I was intense. I was obsessive. So by the time I got onto set, I was ready. I thought I was ready for that particular role. I was ready. So I wasn't really that nervous, actually. I came in there and working with her. It was great. And I just, Barry Ackroyd, Ken Loach's DOP. So it was a really creative, interesting thing. I mean, listen, I used to party hard at that time. And the night before, I was on it. I came on set pretty much. But it kind of didn't get in the way to work, actually. When I was young, for that kind of work. Certainly not now, but so yeah, it was. I came in there and just enjoyed it. Just very much enjoyed it.
And that versus the recent job that you have done, like, do you think your confidence has amplified a little bit, or it always has been the same, and your process to it still has been, or have you ever been nervous or not really?
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, confidence goes up and down. I mean, confidence goes up and down, and I think the more you're working and the more you're doing it, you tend to be more confident and more relaxed and everything. But still, confidence can dip. But yeah, I've generally been pretty not overly nervous on a film set. More on stage. Funny enough, more on stage,
Really?
more apprehensive because that whole having to tell a story for 2 hours, 3 hours, I'd get stage fright. There would definitely be moments when I've dried, and that would play on my head.
Oh, really?
So, you know, I've dried for maybe a minute once, and that was a freak up. So I was sort of walking around pretending I was playing with the props until the lines came back. But so I think, you know, the film experiences generally have been more, I haven't felt totally nervous. It's because of the preparation. If I'm prepared hard, you know, if I train hard and prepare hard and really put the work in, by the time I get on set, I've left no stone unturned. I feel comfortable. I feel like I'm not going to act. I'm just going to go in there and just enjoy. But if I haven't put the work in, then I'm going to be in trouble.
Got it.
And then I could be nervous. So I think it's about the work I put in. But yeah, there's been moments I've been nervous. There's been a few days where opening days where I'm just a little bit, okay, let's see how this pans out. I think that's normal. But no, generally not. Generally, so far, not.
When was the last time you've been nervous? That you can remember?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about a film set, I think the first day of Here Lies, funny enough, with
oh, really?
Which wasn't a short, it was a feature, but it was. I'd done a lot of work on it. I was very prepared for that, and I think because it was the first day, and you had John Mattison. It wasn't because he was the DOP who did Gladiator, but it wasn't about him. It's just it was just there was an edge to it, you know. First day, and I was full of it, full of edge, and I was a little stifled on that first day. There was a little panic going on. So, but after the first day, it was fine, completely relaxed into it because I put the work into that.
Got it.
So I think it's when you sort of leave a few corners cut, the confidence goes. That's when you become self-conscious, a bit nervous, but. It also depends about the people who are around you. If you're working with a director who puts you on edge, I mean, that's another thing. If you've got a director that's really insecure, right, and the people around you are really insecure, and you're not feeling solid, that's gonna sort of trigger and bounce off the rest of the people. That's what I've noticed. But I've been fortunate, you know, that generally the sets have been pretty calm of late. And the thing is, if you're leading the film or you're coming in sort of one of those guys, you've got to sort of set that. If you're prepared, you can relax the set. They go, yeah, the guy's okay. Boom. If you're not, then you're gonna. And if the director's not sort of feeling confident, he's going to bring out his insecurities. So yeah, I mean, I've heard horror stories. I mean, there's been horror stories. I've been on sets where there's been screaming and shouting. I mean, pretty much. It's really because there's a lot of money involved on some of the films, and there's pressure. But personally, you know, I haven't been involved in the drama myself. When I was a younger actor, I was more combustible. There I'd throw a few things around maybe, and I could be a handful because I was young and out of my mind. I was crazy, you know, when I was in my early 20s. Yeah.
Any stories you'd like to share? Well, not really.
Not really. Well, you know, no. But I certainly could be a bit difficult. I mean, I was certainly difficult because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. You know, there was and so I was edgy about things. And so that kind of insecure, whatever's going on, you project it out there. But so because I feel a lot more comfortable over the last 20 years, I feel much more comfortable on set and about being of service as well. It's not just about me, you know, it's about being a cog in the wheel and being of service to everybody. You see, that's the trouble. It was all about me when I was younger. And that's when you see those actors that cause a lot of problems. It becomes all about them, you know?
Do you give that advice as a coach and as a mentor?
Yeah.
Or you just let that process be, because some people need to get through that in order to be at the space that you're at today?
Yeah, you can't force that on anyone. I mean, you can't tell somebody this is, you know, they'll just nod their head and go, yeah, sure, you're right. You know, I mean, that's what I would have done. It's a process, and some people don't get over it. Some people who actually get worse. They over the years they become even more brittle, more feared up, and more scared, and more temperamental, more combustive. It depends on where you're at. But I say to the more comfortable in your own skin, I think will help. But a lot of actors aren't comfortable in their own skin. That's why they're acting, and that's also a good thing, because you're basically wanting to sort of feed something else. And it is look at me, look at me, look at me, please look at me some more. So it lends itself to a self-obsession and a self-centeredness. But I mean, there are tools. I think the tools are meditation works really well. That gets you out. I do tell that to the guys I work with. I say, get into the meditation. You've got to be careful with that, because it can make you maybe a little bit too calm at times. And you want to keep that edge. But it really gets you out of the self-centeredness, the self-consciousness, which is a killer for an actor. I know that for myself. It just basically relaxes you. We don't really give a fuck as much about what people think as much. You do a bit, but it's not amped up.
Got it.
Which is a killer, where you really are overly sensitive about what people think. So you're just giving your power away completely. And it shows. And that's where you become combustible.
I'm intrigued to know that. I think when I emailed you in regards to, and I said, oh, we have the same agent, Sam and How, and we were discussing things like that. And you discussed in regards to where the space that you are today. How is your mindset today compared to when you got into the industry? And do you ever look at the vast amount of movies that you've done and the career that you've lived? Or do you still have that hunger that you used to when you started on this industry and wanting to work? Or you're much more calm? Or did you never have that hunger and you just wanted to do the craft and just wanting to work? So I'm intrigued to know that perspective from you.
Yeah, I mean, I was very hungry. As a young actor, I was ravenous. I was voracious. I was completely fucking single-minded in that sense. I mean, despite the distractions, I didn't help myself, but I certainly wanted it badly. I was hungry. It was a calling, but I'm not as hungry anymore for being in front of the camera. I still test positive and love to work, but I took 3 years off. I mean, I took 3 years off when I started getting into the actor's crib, because I enjoyed directing and working with, I was enjoying that process, and I needed to put the time on. So I took sort of 3 years off. I kind of took myself away from it, and now I'm sort of back in. But I still enjoy it. Of course, there's still one is, to do good work when it comes, but I'm not obsessed in that way anymore, of like that drive to be in front of the camera and do is not. I don't have that urgency that I had when I was a young guy in my 20s and 30s,
Do you think that's due because you've had, like I said, over 40 plus movies and certain things like that, or it's simply at the space that you are through life experience?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't grab me like it used to. My point of attention is I'm actually enjoying the teaching a lot.
Sorry. No, go ahead. Sorry. I thought you were done. I apologize.
No, that's, that's basically it. So it's, I don't have that kind of, God, I've got to be on a set. I need to work. What's going on here? You know that thing, what the fuck's he doing? Why is he on there? Why is there, that kind of, which a young actor can have a bit of. It's a terrible state to be, where you're just going, but you do need to be obsessive. I mean, to do well in this business, you do need to be single-minded and obsessive. It needs to be an absolute love. And I still have a love for it, but it's not a driving force like it used to be, because my interest has gone into the actor's crib, into helping others, and it helps me.
What was the initial pull for you? For me, it's always been, I think, the art of storytelling, and telling things that will challenge stereotypes or bring certain things out for me. But what is the pull for you?
My pull is I just loved it. I mean, as I said, it's like the first time I did Fake, and I just loved to express. go into characters, express, to really go into stuff where you can just really let it out. You can go in there in that space and really tell a story, you know, all that stuff. Tell a story and go into great writing and really sort of absorb yourself into that world. Yeah.
I'm always intrigued to know this. I think sometimes I ask dancers this because predominantly I sometimes have dancers, but can you actually look at someone else's piece of work now and not analyze it as an actor or a coach and simply just watch with a blind eye? And also a perspective of which you mentioned before, as a young actor, sometimes when you watch certain things, we're like, why didn't we get that? Why didn't my agent put me forward for that? Or I could do that. Can you do that?
Oh yeah, I can do that now. I don't look at others with and go, God, I want to be on that fucking show. Or can I swear?
Yeah, like I said, you can.
Or go, why the fuck's that guy working? He's fucking got a middling talent. He's fucking terrible. He's the son of that guy, right? You know, oh Jesus, we know why he got it, nepotism. You know, never, you know, the usual kind of actor talk. You go in that little sort. I don't have any of that anymore. I had, as a younger actor, there was definitely, you need the competitiveness, but then it can veer into the ugliness. But no, I don't have that. I don't have that Schadenfreude, and I don't have the on other actors working, and I don't look at it and go with any kind of envy or kind of wish I had that. I don't have that anymore. I can look at it really with open eyes and just not have any angst about it.
Not even as an analytical point, because you are a coach and you are a mentor now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I can watch work and go, that's not, you know, that's not great. Or, you know, I go, yeah, that's good. Mostly I just let it pass, really. You know, I will prick up when I see something really special or really good work, I'll appreciate it. I'll nod it and go, yeah, that's good work. That's really good work. But I won't go into too much analyzing, but I am definitely looking and going, yeah, that's good work.
Got it.
Yeah, they put the work in. They've done it, you know?
I'm intrigued to know, after watching Ironclad and you're talking about Hair Lies, and there was another, what was it? Oh my God. It's where you kill people. And
Deadly Favors.
That's it. And it's about, was it not Alan Watts?
Alan Miller.
Alan Miller.
I wish it was Alan Watts. He's a much
Alan
more
Watts.
Spiritual guy, you know. Alan Watts is one of my personal favorites. Goes on a bit.
Can I just say, I found similarities between yourself and I. I am a massive fan of Bob Dylan, and I loved that movie where was it 5 or 6 actors played? Was it called Rolling Stone or something? Why is it gone from my head? Have you seen the Bob Dylan movie?
I didn't see the Bob Dylan movie. No, to my chagrin.
You should. I would say it's a very beautifully artistic movie. And then I found a picture of Joseph Beuys, who's one of my favorite artists, on your Instagram. I don't know if you remember that, you just posted it. He has this piece at Tate, which is called Lightning Struck, and it's this beautiful architecture. And I always just go to the Tate, sit in the corner and sketch. I literally just, every time I go to the Tate, I have to visit that sculpture. Yeah,
bliss.
I'm intrigued.
Pure bliss.
Pure bliss. So I would like to know your experience off and on set for those 3 movies, because I feel like they're very different.
Okay, that was my best year as far as creatively and as far as enjoyment. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about pure pulling the work in. That it's interesting you say that. There was a year I did Deadly Famous, Here Lies, and I did a film called Castles Made of Sand. Right, there were 3 very different films, and I got the chance to really put the work in with all those films, like go into character. Really, it was pure joy. It wasn't about the dough. It wasn't about anything else. I signed off for anything else potentially that could go in. I just put my head down. I'd go into Cafe Nero or somewhere, and I'd just sit down and take my time and just mull over it, walk in parks, did everything I talk to you guys about. I did everything like that. I slowly let it absorb into me. And so you got 3 very different characters. I mean,
yes.
You've got what Here Lies is a painter sort of loosely based on a kind of Lucian Freud type of Giacometti type character with the muses. And, you know, I just put my head down and put the work into that. I mean, I just really started building that character and really taking my time over it. It was very different. It was very wordy. And then Alan Miller was the American role. And on the page, it read great, you know. And I auditioned for it in London. It was shooting in LA. And I self-taped once. And I really got a hand. I thought, this is something I want, right? You know, something I fancy. He saw me in something, this director. And I auditioned twice, and they said, you got it. And first of all, the budget was at a certain level, then the budget kept going down, right? Closer I got to the film. So that was,
oh God.
You know, so in the end, I ended up shooting it in about 12 days. You know, I was doing 8 scenes a day, which is like, but I was prepared, you see. The thing is, ideally, it would have been a longer time with a more of a budget, because it was a lot of fun, but the role was great. I mean, you know, when you watch it, it was more, when I read it, it was more of an American Psycho type character. It still had elements of that, but it went in the end more horror, you know, much more into the horror. So they sold that angle, but to me, it was much more of a psychological thriller, and it was a great role to play. It was a lot of fun to play. So that was an experience where the first day I've gone to set, you know, it was all American cast. It wasn't one of those films shot in Europe, which I've done, which are playing American, but all the actors are European and British.
Yeah.
Right? So the accents go in and out, right? It was all Americans. So I was in there with all American guys. So I came in on first date with an American accent, because you got to calm that crew down, because they're looking. They're seasoned campaigners. They're looking for any chink, right? And so you don't want to put any alarm bells on there. So you kind of want to tame them on the first day. In fact, the first scene, and then you've got their confidence. And they go, right, we're on a film we can believe in, maybe, you know, because if you go in there and it's not cooking, people start to get insecure, you get insecure, and it can all go downhill, as I said earlier. But yeah, that year was my most creative year. And funny enough, I stopped about 3 years afterwards. In a sense, I took 3 years off. And started the teaching. So it was interesting. It was like 3 years prior, and that was probably my most fun year and best year as far as the work goes. Was that year? Was when I did those 3 films.
How are you on and off set? Like when you're off set, are you really focused in terms of character, like really into it and doing the work, or are you like pranking people, joking around with people? And how are you on set when you get on set? Like, do you have a lot of bloopers? Yeah, I'm intrigued to know that.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty relaxed now. I mean, I go in, I'm serious. I'll come in there and, you know, I've done my work. So I've done all my work. But once I've done that, I'm relaxed. I'm not snarling around set all the time. I don't like to overly talk too much around the day, because you give your energy away. In a sense, it's like if you've got, okay, listen, if you've got a couple of scenes in a film, right, or TV, that's fine. But if you're kind of if you've got a lead or a second lead and you're going in, you need that energy, you need that focus. So it's not as if you're being rude. You just be polite, you do your thing, and you have your moments, but you've got to conserve that energy for the work, because before you know it, you're spreading it around. You go, and I've seen it, and the guy's not focused, and they're going in there, all their energy's gone. So, but yeah, no, I wear my coat pretty loose. I don't go in there, you know, fucking in character like a thing. I've got my character. I'm loosely we're having it there, but I'm not talking to him because he doesn't like him, you know, on the journey. But I don't mind guys who work like that. I don't think I think it's playtime. So I don't mind a guy who comes in. I respect that kind of work as well. If they're coming in there, that's the way they operate. I get it. I understand that completely.
What would you say is your favorite part of the job? Is it the self-tape? Is it the call that you've got the job? Is it the money? Is it the process itself of like when you get the job, the actual journey of it? Or is it the edit when you actually see the final project?
Yeah, easy one. Easy question.
Easy.
The process.
The process.
I'm not interested in watching the final products. Maybe once and that's it. I have no real interest. Once I've done the work, and I'll know whether on set, when I'm doing the process, whether I'm on the ball or not, whether it's on. So watching the film, I'll watch it once. I'm not interested after that.
Do
Not
you not watch
interested.
playbacks, like when you're actually in there,
No.
or it's a connection from you and the director?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm never one of those guys who rushes
All
onto
right.
the playback. So there's an actor, I won't mention, funny enough, one of the guys on Ironclad, right?
Yeah.
Every fucking take, he'd be rushing to the playback, looking at his work. You know, listen, for me, it's about, no, I leave that alone. But you see, with these self-tapes, because you have to be a producer now and you have to watch yourself,
Yes.
so now you have to look at yourself. So really, you know, you have to get used to that, because you have to actually sort of monitor yourself and look at yourself and go, right, that's the best take, blah, blah, blah. But no, I don't rush down to the monitor and check the workout. I kind of know, I can feel it when it's on. And if it needs to get tweaked, the director will say something. But I can normally feel it intuitively. Don't need to go and look at a playback. And that's why, you know, these camera acting classes, I mean, I can see the benefit of them, and I know there's a lot of them, but when I was around, there was none of that stuff. And I just think, you know, you kind of understood, if you've got a camera awareness, of whether you're doing honest work in front of a camera. But with the self-tapes, you're getting that chance to really play around with the stuff anyway, you know, yeah.
I'd like to ask you a question, which is, what separates good quality of work from sustainable acting of work? So like, let's say doing a commercial versus doing a really gritty project that has sustainable matter in there, and advice to anybody who wants to navigate through the industry without going insane and it consuming you, to a part which you've already said that it should consume a little bit and it should be challenging. But to a point, I think you and I had a Zoom meeting where I was just like, losing the will. And I was asking you for so much advice.
Yeah. I've seen guys lose their minds. I've seen some really talented actors. I can mention, I know two guys who were as good as anyone I've seen.
Yeah.
Like they were my age, they were as good as they was better. They were better. They just didn't get an opportunity. And what ends up happening with those guys, one of them ends up on the bottle and on the drugs. And that's it. You know, he capsized because there's no structure in this business. So you've got to basically find a structure to answer the question. You've got to have a good routine. You've got to have some stuff going on. You've got to look at, okay, what is my routine? So you get up in the morning, you've got a nice routine. So you've got structure, because you can just drift, and then you can get angry, and then you can get frustrated, because if you don't have a purpose, if you're not going into, and you're just waiting for the phone to ring, which is especially what it was back in the day, that type thing. I've seen guys lose their minds. I've seen them lose their minds, become alcoholics, drug addicts, and just confidence go, and they're gone. I've seen many talented actors lost because, and they get into self-pity. They didn't get the opportunities. They were talented, but they didn't get, you've got to find that those opportunities will come. You just got to have a good mindset. So when that happening is they get more negative. It's tough. It's an oversaturated business. It doesn't matter what era you're talking about, whether it was the 90s and 20s. Now it's always going to be oversaturated because everyone wants to get into it. So you've just got to be doing you've got to be doing things for your mind. You've got to be just doing stuff again, keeping busy, and doing things that work for you. Everyone operates differently. You know, some people, whatever it is, you need to find what really stimulates you and moves forward. So, because if you're just waiting for that job or waiting for that phone to ring, you become very one-dimensional, and you can become very bitter and very angry, especially if it doesn't start coming your way. You've got to look at other interests and be creative.
I'm always intrigued to ask you this question, and I've asked you this one before, which is the building blocks of an actor. And there's terrific programs out there, such as yourself, you're doing Actors Crib, and there's practitioner work in there. Do you think in order for there to be a foundation for any good actor, you need to either do the following two things or just go into the industry and build on experience? One is, do you need to go and learn, such as Alexander, Meisner, Stanislavski, and so many other, or do you know to go to an acclaimed credit school like Lambda, RADA, Central, so many other schools? Because I think now it's really an interesting space. There are so many courses which are agency led, which are, you know, you do a 2-year course with us and then you might get picked up, or you do screen acting courses and things like that. So what would your advice be on that, or what would your take be on that?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I think there's no rules. I've seen actors like Samantha Morton didn't do drama school. She did workshops. There's a number of very good actors who didn't. But of course, when you go to a RADA or you go to one of the big drama schools, if you get your head down and you put and they like you and you put the work in, you do have that audience of the best agents and casting directors. So you get the kind of red carpet. Not all. It's only, there's a few, but you definitely get those opportunities. But that is not a given for success. I know many people who've been to RADA who've not had a career, not had a great career. So it doesn't always work. But if you are fated, you've put the work in, it does give you the opportunity. But you don't need to do that. To get a good, I think to be a really good actor, is you need to put the work in. So you need to find ways. You need to be reading plays all the time. You need to be doing workshops, not just the miser. You need to be doing all these workshops. You need to be doing voice. You need to be doing movements because you need to be in your body. Some of these actors are just working from the neck up. I've seen them, especially just ones who just done camera workshops. They're not in their bodies. They're like this. And most of the really special actors have tended to come from the stage generally. Mm-hmm. There are exceptions.
Some who do tap dancing like you did back in the day.
Yeah, no, listen, the dance is great. Any kind of performing is great. I mean, it's you want to be doing everything. Voice, movement, Alexander technique, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. There is no rules. You find what works for you. You don't need to just do one style of technique. I don't believe in that. You take a bit what works for you. Everybody is different. But you need to put the work in. You need to keep putting the work in. I mean, most actors are lazy. And I used to be as well, really, in some senses, despite the obsessiveness, but it's about putting that work in. You've got to, when you're looking at a dancer or a pianist, they put 5, 6, 7 hours a day in. Actors don't do that generally. They go for a coffee and moan or have a little talk. Or watch Netflix, right? You can learn from Netflix. You've got to put the work in, and you can see the difference with the guys who put the work in. I mean, you look at those guys who really are outstanding, like those Rylances, Gary Oldman. I mean, Gary Oldman, for example, drama school, right? I know a couple of guys who went to drama school with him. He says they all went down the pub and were drinking. He'd go back and be working. He'd have one drink and back working. His work ethic is off the charts, but all of them are. The really, really good ones, their work ethic is off the charts because that's where you learn. You just by doing it. Where you do it, I don't think you've got to find where your home is. You go, yeah, I'm liking this guy. I like this guy. No, not keen on this guy, and find this. And I need to do a bit of this on my voice. This is an Achilles heel. I'm not in my body. I need to work on that. But you need to keep working on scripts. You need to be looking at playwrights. You need to be looking at writers. You need to be reading the classics. You need to be reading. So many people don't read anymore. They don't read, right? Reading, you'll get your imagination working by going into a Balzac novel, going into a modern novel, and putting yourself in the center of the novel. So you go to art galleries, like you said, that's pure bliss. You go into the National and you look at those paintings, you start putting yourself into those pictures. You've got to use that imagination. You've got to be learning scripts all the time. Really, you've got to just be doing it all the time. Right, different facets, not necessarily just pure edit, just everything that's going to make you a better human being is going to make you more interesting. So you build that soul up. So it's not just about learning the lines, it's about growing.
I think what you're saying is really resonating. When I went to performing arts school, one of my head of drama used to say, you need to really eat, breathe, shit this industry 24/7. And I think that's the question that I asked before, because sometimes the industry can consume you because you're putting in all the work and you're doing it, and when you're not getting everything or anything back, you're not getting anything, what is the give? And that goes into my question, which I'm going to ask next, which is the current generation of what acting is today. We have the digital space and its impact, which is certain people, and I think in a way, when it's similar to how stars would get hired on West End, or you have a name attached to a project that brings in profit revenue. But in today's age, how there's so much of a push on, I won't say my agent, but a push on, one of my agents was like, you need to go on TikTok, you need to grow your following on Instagram, you need to do this. And there's a lot of cross situations happening, which is a lot of dancers are now becoming actors, and who used to belittle acting when they were studying it. And there are a lot of influencers or YouTubers who would just do parody work or comedy work, and now are getting big featured roles in a lot of productions in Netflix and things like that. What would your take be on a space such as that?
I just think things evolve. I think things evolve. I mean, you know, I don't want to put a judgment on it and say what's wrong and right, because I think things move on. It's so easy to go in, oh, it wasn't like that. I mean, if you're talking in the 30s, it was the studio system. And then they moaned when the studio system went down because you got all those New York, you know, it changed. And now the industry changes. But to be a really, if you're talking about being a special actor, not just a working one that's a personality actor that's going in and just nicking roles and being a personality on a kind of playing themselves. You want to be a Meryl Streep, or you want to be a Gary Oldman, or you want to be one of these really special guys, the Joaquin Phoenix type guys. You want to be. They put the work in. They work. They read. They're on it, and you know, there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts. I mean, you just have to ask the guys who really, if you get a chance, if you're around those guys, I mean, look at someone like Brian Cox, who was on Ironclad. He's a really special actor. I mean, his range is colossal, but he's a lovely guy. But, you know, he was at a time when what actors did, he went to drama school, then he went to Birmingham Rep, then he did all the rep stuff all around the country. You learn your trade. You learn from those older actors. So he's getting to do different roles all the time, every week, 2, 3 in tandem. So how can you not become a better actor? And so he's just all the time working in this kind of system. And so whatever way you work it, you've got to just put the work in. Now, listen, of course, this Instagram, TikTok, I mean, if it can get you work, it can get you work. I'm not so versed, as you saw with the Instagram thing. I mean, you saw how I was fiddling around with that. I mean, so I'm not the guy but I get why, you know, producers are interested in somebody who's got 10 million followers, because they're going to bring that into the audience. So they're just thinking about money. But the serious directors, I mean, I shouldn't say serious because that sounds patronizing, but the ones who they'll be interested in the guys who can do the work. You know, they're going to look at the guys and go, that's the guy I want. They're going to have seen him go, he's special. Want that. If you're just basically just playing a version of yourself, you can kind of do it okay in a one-dimensional way. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean you can't transition. But if you're going to transition, you need to put the work in. You're going to have to really put the work in. I see the difference because now I'm teaching, right? I'm in groups. I see those guys who I see the difference with the guys who come in all the time. I see the difference. I see the difference between those guys who've been to the drama center, who come into my groups, and I get the occasional, to the guys who've just done maybe 1 or 2 workshops or done a camera working thing, just done a little bit. You see the difference. It's clear to see. You know, there's no shortcuts. It's very obvious for me.
I'm intrigued to know, if you were an up-and-coming actor in your 20s in today's age, what would your path be?
I think if I had my head on now, with a Dan who is in his 20s and did a time sort of travel, I would be much more focused. Not just, I was obsessive, but it was destructive. You know, I had no check on some of my appetites. So, so I would be much more focused, and also much more. My attitude was pretty bad. I had a bad attitude. I was quite toxic in many ways. I'll own up to that. So I brought a lot of my damage into the thing, and it now we're bringing that goodwill and hopefully love and being of service, and just knowing what you need to do. I would bring that into it, and I would work hard. I'd be going in, I want to work with him, boom, boom. I'd be on it.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Actors Crib now. Which you created in 2016, what inclined you to kind of take that route after 3 years of taking a break, and how do you think it's progressed from 2016 versus now?
Well, it's definitely progressed. I mean, it started really very organically. I mean, I started off directing a few actors in the Troubadour, which is where I live, where I've always been living around Earls Court. You know, it's where Bob Dylan actually used to come regularly. Back in the day when Earls Court was bohemian and interesting, it's become really sanitized now. Got Foxtons across the road. I mean, they've still got the Troubadour, and that's it.
Okay.
But no, I started directing some actors. I started directing a Sam Shepard piece. Then I started directing a Pinter piece. Then I started going into these, and then these actors started coming in, right? And I said, oh, I've got a little space. And they started coming. I really didn't think about setting up an actor's career. I thought I'll just do a bit of directing. I'm enjoying this, helping people. Then people coming in me for auditions or little spaces. I started to enjoy that. And then I started creating the workshop. I thought, okay, let's do this on a Wednesday night. And I started no publicity. I had no sort of plan, no master plan of creating some of classes and stuff. And it just, you know, it started really organically and it started building, you know, and I really was enjoying it. And then I ended up doing 2 workshops a week, and I ended up doing 3 workshops a week. And I started doing a few courses, and I keep the classes really small. I keep them 10 and under. You know, it's always been that way. And because I want to be hands-on and work with guys, but I just like to see the light bulb moment, you know, and I did the Tabernacle. So yeah, it kind of grew organically, really. And then as I say, I decided to take 3 years off because my interest wasn't really in the acting. I mean, I turned a few things down. I thought, no, you know, I'm just on this. I needed to just put my focus on this, where my enjoyment was.
Where does the name come from?
I just made it up. I just like the title. I just thought, fuck it, I like it. I just went, okay, boom, you know.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Where would you say your voice as an actor versus a coach or a mentor and a teacher sit now? And also, what's the difference for you between a mentor, a teacher, and a coach?
It's the same. It's the
Is
same.
it the same for you?
It's basically being of service. It's basically looking to go in there and help. And helping you helps me. You know, it's building. It's looking at what needs to be worked on. You know, what are the weak sides there? If somebody was coming on one, what needs to be pushed? What needs to be worked on? And talk about what the philosophy is. Not just about the acting, about what's to be a better actor. You need all the other stuff we were talking about. You know, you need to be reading and doing all that other stuff. You know, so yeah, I think it's all very linked. All of it's very linked. It's the same deal. You know.
Got it. And sorry. And what would you say your voice is as a coach, teacher, and a mentor? Like, what would you say, sort of aesthetically, not aesthetically, but a style?
I don't use one technique. So I'm not a Meisner teacher. I'm not a Stanislavski. I'm not a Strasberg. I use all of those. I've trained in all those. I trained in the Meisner way before it became popular here. See, now every drama school does it in London. But when I did, no one was doing it. I was doing it with Jack Waltzer, who was he's an old boy that was basically worked with Sandy, right? So he was like hands-on right there, you know. Mm-hmm. And so I was doing this before I even went to drama school. So I kind of, you know, that and the Strasberg was my first kind of introduction. And then I don't have one style. I don't believe in one style. I think more of a holistic sort of approach. I think you learn from nature. It's all out there. This is the playground. And then you come in and bring it in and you play. You play. I think, you know, whenever I've seen an actor who says, I'm just a Meisner actor, or I'm just one, they're not, it's not great. It's not great. They've got something, they need to be picking up from everywhere, you know, it becomes cultish. There is no one style. You can get something from all of them.
Somebody just asked, I'm interested in Actors Crib is running again. Actors Crib is running. Daniel, promote, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm doing the online. Is that Camilla? Yeah, Camilla.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing online. I'm back in physical spaces as well. They've got the experience classes on Wednesday, which is at the Theatre Delhi from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. I've got online courses, and I do a drop-in on Tuesday, which Raimu comes to. And, you know, I just did a 3-day masterclass, which was last week, which was intense. It took me a few days to get over that. It was great. So I'm going to be doing another one in mid-August. You know, for guys who've got some experience, who've done, you know, who've got some training, that's what the masterclass is for, and the Wednesday one as well. But I'm doing a beginners at the Tabernacle again, for beginners and intermediates on Saturdays. I start that again soon in about a month. Yeah.
I'm intrigued to know, always as people who are in the arts, whether they have or have not had a lack or they've had support. So I would be intrigued to know, in terms of, if you don't mind me asking, did you have support when you were growing up, or when you were in your 20s, from your family, from your friends? And are most of your friends in the industry or around the industry? So yeah.
When you say support, do you mean financial support?
Hello?
We had a bit of a lag there.
I mean, yeah, I think to an aspect, I do mean financial support, as well as just mental and emotional support, where they're like, yeah, go ahead. Oh my God, that'll be great. You know, okay, sure, we'll come watch your play. Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, I got no negativity from, you know, I basically was allowed to, I was pretty feral as well. So I was allowed to do what I wanted to do. I was pretty strong-minded on that one. So yeah, I got a lot of support because I didn't get any negatives. You need to be a doctor, or you need to be this, or you need to go and be a lawyer. I didn't get that family pressure that way. And I always was able to make some dough.
Got it.
So, you know, I was able to sort of support myself. And I say, when I came out of drama school, I started working straight away. I was lucky. I did Under the Skin, and I was working all over Europe, and I was managing to make a living. And, you know, until it dried up for a bit. And, no, but I've always kind of been able to support myself with the acting. Even when I went to the States, I kind of got in there and was working over there, you know?
So I think in knowing that, and the question I always like to ask is, if you were to take away your faith, your confidence of who you are, and the support that you have had, and put you in an instance where there's not a lot of support from the people around you, and you're possibly on booking that many jobs, and you have low self-confidence, would you still be doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, I would be, because I tested positive. You know,
what do you mean by that? By the way, you said that now a couple of times.
No, it means it's a drive. There was nothing else I wanted to do or could do. There was nothing else that I could have done things, but there was nothing that grabbed me. It was like, this is it. You know, I was hooked. I mean, you know, but yeah, I mean, I do know guys, when there's no work, they just can't do it. It's just too much. They just drift off. And, but yeah, no, it just was always there for me. I maybe if I didn't get if I hadn't worked for a few years, maybe that would be the case. I can't answer that one, but I still think I would have been in there, because I'm a stubborn bastard. I would have been in there right to the bitter end, really. I don't know. It's a tricky one. I mean, you want to be doing things and working. So if you're not working and it's just not happening for a number of years, then maybe you have to look at yourself and go, okay, I need to make a mark somewhere. I need to be, because it will make you miserable if you're not working or doing something or being useful. That's the word I want to use.
Have you ever had a point where you walked away from a brief period from every aspect of this industry, or you've always been somewhat involved in everything? Because even in that 3-year break, you were directing and you were training and you were doing bits and bobs. So have you ever had that phase of like, no, I'm going to go work at the local Tesco's, or go in marketing, or go in the corporate sector?
No. Once I got in, when I left school, as I say, I was a door-to-door salesman when I was 15 around Europe. So I was selling cleaning products door to door.
Oh wow!
Yeah. When I was about 15, I left school early. You see, I was lost. I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I had a great fun doing it. I was working all over Amsterdam, the red light, all over the place, selling products. I got one product that cleans everything, you know. So I sold insurance. I mean, I did a number of jobs before. Like at 22, 23, I started dipping my toes into the workshops, and that's it. Once I did that, I was okay. This is where I'm at. And
you tested positive.
I did at 9, but I just
Oh,
basically
wow.
got lost. I got drifted and went into other things. And it wasn't until I was 22, it came back but since then, no, I've always had my, very much in it.
Before we move on to games, I think I have like just two or three more questions. One is, and I always struggle with this, I think, working in the industry, which is how do you separate the business of the industry from your art form? So if, let's say, your pull is acting, how do you separate the business of the industry in terms of being a freelancer, or when there's politics involved with agents, or on set when there's a hierarchy system, or I don't know, like certain things that's where I've worked on sets and there's like cruelty involved with like animals, or hierarchy of like that actor has to eat first, this has to be,
Yeah.
this is your payment, that is, or you need to go to this event to network with this person in order to get that job. Okay, you don't have this. How do you separate the two? Because sometimes I can't separate that, and that destroys my love.
It can destroy your love. And I've been on sets, and I've been on a set once where I had a producer say to me, "Why are you sitting with the crew?" I go, "Because I like the crew. I like a couple of these. I mean, they're human beings, yeah." I said it with a bit of a twinkle. I didn't sort of judge it, but that's kind of, you'd be at the canteen, you'd see the hierarchy going in there. Just they be there, and especially more in American sets actually. So there's definitely more of a hierarchy there. Maybe because we have more of an egalitarian but it still can go on here, I think. But yeah, that's distasteful to me. That's I don't. Yeah, I don't like that side of it. And the politics side, I mean, you can take. I've seen it. I saw it when I was in LA. I saw guys out there who'd fallen, who really their confidence was crushed. They went out there with a dream because it was so corporate.
Mm-hmm.
It was so corporate, and that love, that passion of wanting to perform and play had been taken out of them because it becomes so corporate. You're in there just going for their 2 lines here or 4 lines there. And I saw these guys in their 40s and 50s from the Midway, and their confidence was crushed. You could see it was a real Darwinist sort of thing. And they'd lost their love for it, but they were still stuck there. They didn't know where to go. They should have gone home maybe. But yeah, the politics side, I haven't had any sort of bad experiences recently on that. So I kind of I'm not sort of tarred with that right now, but I do know what you mean. It can get very sort of the business aspect. You've got to get the self-tape, boom, you've got to do all that kind of running around doing how actors, I've got to do the casting workshops, all these stuff, which can be useful, but that was never around when I was younger. And what it can do, because there's a mercenary aspect on that sort of stuff, it can maybe take someone's love and passion where you feel maybe it's not pure.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have to protect yourself. You've got to be reading the classics and everything else, and you should be reading a play for an actor, reading a play a week, watching this stuff. That's how you keep in love with it. And going into a group, working with other actors who've got the same philosophy, being around others so you're not just isolated. Because if you can get lost in that corporate side, and before you know it, your passion's gone. And once that's gone, your work's going to be shit. You've got to protect yourself. You really got to protect yourself there.
I wanted to ask you in regards to your acting, as some of the work that I saw, and this is just a viewpoint, a lot of it was
Dark.
very intense and dark. Did you early on, when even you were at drama school, you found out that your unique selling point as an actor was that, or it was just like project after project that did that? Because I think sometimes as an ethnic person, sometimes you can get stereotyped into that. Sometimes Matthew McConaughey talks about it all the time. There was a period of time in his career where he was just doing rom-com movies and he wanted to experiment. So as somebody who can get stereotyped, be it from the color of their skin to their art form or how they can sit back, and recently I've been feeling like sometimes when I've done lessons with yourself or in other spaces, apparently it relates more when I'm a little bit more somber or a little bit more angry and a little bit more hair, as opposed to experimenting more with like happiness or quirky little characters. And as an actor, sometimes you just want to play around and be in the playground, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
So going back to the stereotyping, how do you navigate through that? Or do you just find out this is your box and
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I certainly wouldn't say I just only do it intense work. I mean, that certainly when I came out of drama, I was more attracted to it. I was more drawn to it. It was probably more me. So Under the Skin was a very dark film. It was a very dark character. And so, of course, you know, when those European directors started coming in, that's what they were looking at. You understood what they understood what they were wanting, that kind of energy, you know. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy playing those happy roles as well, and all the stuff, the full gamut, you know, not being just put into that. But I have to say, I was drawn to them. I mean, they're fun to play, the bad guys. They're fun to play. I mean, you know, they're a lot of fun to play, and
yeah,
you'll find most actors are drawn to them because they're fun to play. But I mean, you know, I definitely like comedy, and certainly like not just go, certainly now, but when I was younger, I was definitely more drawn to that stuff. I wanted that stuff, you know, so I was getting that stuff. And, and I definitely, when I was a younger actor, I was definitely more what I would call a personality actor. I was drawn to a certain kind of thing. As I got, I'm much more multidimensional and would not necessarily want to be drawn if I was into just that. And yeah, you attract what you want.
got it.
I believe you attract what you want, what you give. And, you know, there's a certain sort of, if you've got a love for a certain kind of work,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're drawn to it. But I was dark myself. I was a dark guy, you know, when I was younger. I brought that dark energy in when I was younger, you know, so it was in me and it fizzed off. It was, whereas now it's not so, it's different.
And you can play rom-com stuff. Would you like to do a rom-com?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a rom-com. As I say, you know, my burning desire in front of the camera is not what it used to be, but I certainly would be open to it, of course. Paid work.
Do you feel like you have played or done things that you set out to, or do you still have that fire where it's like, no, until I reach this point, I'm still going to keep going? Or whether that is acting, directing, being a coach, an all-rounded question.
Yeah, I think there's always a drive to do. But as far as the acting, I don't have that big desire to go, right, I want to be doing that, a lead on this Netflix series all the way through. I don't have that. I'm in acceptance with what I've done. And yeah, I mean, if something comes, an opportunity comes, I'll put the work in and do the best I can, right, if I'm around. But as I say, my main focus now has been on the actor's script. And of course, improving myself all the time to be better of service. But yeah, I love what I do. So, but I don't have that huge restlessness like I used to. I mean,
Sorry.
No, that's it.
What's your vision with the actor script? Would you like there to be a building? Would you like it to have like several branches? Like, what would you say your ultimate vision would be?
You know, I don't have a big vision, big grand plan to have this big sort of, you know, corporate sort of loads of places all around the world.
Yeah.
I've seen some of those guys. I've seen some of those coaches. I won't mention any names. And I've seen a couple of these guys, and it's about the money. It's about the money for these guys. Now I see it. It's about the money. They're jaded. I don't like their work. I mean, you know, there's a few of these guys around, and you see it, and it's becoming it becomes so about the business. And they want to get 25 guys in a class, 30, you know, just getting, you can see their hands going like this. And, you know, it's, I might go a little bit big. I'll delegate, you know, get guys to cover me, you know, if need be. But I don't want to make it into, you know, one in LA, one in Italy, going around all that. I don't have right now that kind of feel to be everywhere and be one of those kind of, you know, those guys, they're all around the world. They're coming in.
We talked about one of them.
Yeah, there's a few of them out there. So, you know, yeah, I don't have that, you know, that world domination feeling of being the sort of the great guru of everybody, right? And my style's better than yours. No, I always mistrust those guys, right? But listen, good luck to them because there's some very good ones. But I'm quite happy with the size it is. Maybe a bit more, maybe a few more classes going around separately. But no, at the moment it's manageable. We'll see. Organically, I need to see how that feels. But right now, I'm okay with it.
Last questions before we move on to some games. How do you balance being an artist and all that comes with it whilst balancing relationships? And I mean relationships from friendships to love to family. How does one balance? Because sometimes when you don't have people who understand what an artistic life is like, you'll be dropping them at 1 minute to go and do that movie, or like to go onto that play to do that audition, or we're not regular 9 to 5, so we can't switch off like that. How do you balance all of those things and more?
It's a tough one. I mean, it's a tough one for relationships. If you're talking romantic, for sure. I mean, why it's very tough, because unless the partner really understands. I mean, it's the obsessiveness of going in and going, right, I need to be on this, and just completely leave me alone. I need to be on this. And it's kind of rough unless the person understands. And then when you get two actors together, it can be terrible because you've got insecurities, right? They're insecurities and they're pushing each other's buttons, and it can be all, and then sometimes it can work. I mean, of course, I think you just got to be able to take your time out and have some compassion to who you're with and spend that time with them and just let them understand and be communicative and just go, okay. But it's not easy. I mean, don't ask me. I'm not the, I've not been hugely successful in all my relationships. They've been, so I'm not the guy to ask.
But would you give an advice? So I don't know if you know, but I'm a massive fan of Marina Abramovic. Do you know Marina?
Yes, I do.
Marina Abramovic always talks about after her first relationship with, oh my God, what was the guy's name? Ole?
That wonderful bit where they hadn't seen each other for years. Yeah.
But she always talks about, she says this, that after they divorced and they separated and they did that piece where they're sitting across from the table, she says that never fall in love with an artist. She was like, never. So would your advice be to stay away from people? Like, I've made a conscious decision to not be with somebody in the arts.
Well, it can be very painful. Because my experience of it is, I mean, to have an artistic temperament, there's a selfishness. There's a selfishness. And if you've got two artistic temperaments fully on the same thing, buttons are going to get pushed. It's going to be my experience is it's beautiful. It can be incredibly romantic and just beautiful, but painful. Yeah. Because you're mirroring each other. You're mirroring each other. All those defects of character, all those stuffs are mirroring, and it's very hard to get two similars, I think.
Got it.
And if I look at some of the actors who've had successful relationships with other actors or artists, it's normally because one's taken the back seat and gone, okay, well, I'm going to sort of put it on you, and I'm going to be okay with it. The ones who are still. It's tough. I mean, it may last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, but that brings a load of insecurity in it as well. I mean, it can be tough, but it's also highly addictive because the charge is so powerful that when you're talking about a civilian, or it's horrible thing to say, it seems slightly flat and safe.
Yeah.
And if you're masochistic like I am, right, who's got a slightly, that's where the problem lies. You've got to. But no, for your peace of mind, maybe it is better for some, if you can find someone who maybe has an artistic temperament, but not fully in the game. They've kind of gone in there and they're sort of half.
A gardener.
Potentially, yeah.
A pottery person, a painter.
Potentially, yeah. Basically, one who just complies and goes, just do what you want.
Or a chef.
A chef can be very temperamental. They're probably as temperamental as anyone I know.
I was going to say, they'll keep you feeding.
They'll keep you feeding. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's a very tough one, when you're dealing with someone in the same business.
Very true. We've gone on to some games now. Are you ready to play some games?
Never ready for games. Let's have it.
Okay.
Go on.
Make sure your improvisation situations are ready, because there's going to be a testing of that as well.
Oh, dear
But
me.
I start off very easy. So the game section of this entire situation is called Sip a Chai or Play with Rye. Where if you want to play, you play with Rye, or if you want to sip your chai and you don't want to play, you hopefully won't sip, but you will do it. I will start you off easy. All right? So I will say if I was, and I would give you a scenario. You just tell me if you were that, what that would be. So if I was to say if I were a color, what color would you be? And you just say, I don't know, purple. I'm not saying that's your color, but that's what you would be. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So if I was a movie, what would the title of that movie be? First thing that comes into your head. First thing that comes into your head.
Midnight Cowboy.
Midnight Cow. I can see that. I can very much see. Did you spend the time in the southern region of America? Because I don't know why I feel like that.
Yeah, I spent a bit of time over there, yeah.
Okay. What would the storyline of Midnight Cowboy be?
A drifter who's basically just sitting in cafes, watching people with a Tolstoy book, and just basically having a cup of tea with no troubles in the world. Just basically no one bothering me. I'm just watching people and talking to people when I want to talk to them and being talked to.
Okay, this sounds like a very indie, like black and white maybe I'm feeling, but I'm here for it. Who would star in this movie?
You, of course.
Me. I'd play. Wow. Wow.
Okay.
That's an immense pressure. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you sure? Are you sure you would like me to play it?
I don't know who I really can't think of who I'd want in there to play that guy. You know, it'd be a, you know, I mean, a young Brando would be, a Brando in his 40s, 50s, if he was alive, would be ideal. Right. You're talking about a Last Tango in Paris type of character.
Oh,
you know?
Okay. Okay. Let's say this movie has a theme tune, a title song, like a James Bond situation. What would the title song of this movie be?
It would be a 70s, like a Bobby Womack type track.
Okay, I'm not familiar with Bobby.
Okay, 70s funk, soul, a kind of Bobby Womack kind of.
I will listen to Bobby Womack after this. If you were a color, what would you be?
Blue.
If you were a food, what would you be?
Red meat steak. Okay.
I don't know why I thought you were vegan, Daniel.
Well, I kind of am, but if you ask me what kind of meat I am, but I'm not vegan. I do eat mostly vegetarian food.
Got it. If you were a holiday destination, what would you be? First thing that comes to your head.
I'd say the mountain regions of Spain.
Okay. Ooh, that's nice.
Andalusia, around there. Yeah.
I don't know why that just reminded me of this line in Friends when he's talking about the Mount Tipidebu. If you watch Friends.
Yeah, no, I haven't watched it for a long time.
They're doing a reunion. Are you gonna watch it?
I'm not sure.
Oh, you should. I watched the trailer of it. I wasn't sure as well, but it looks nice. It looks nostalgic. If you were, it's gonna be nice, and I think it's gonna be the most streamed, most played thing ever. If you were a drink, what would you be?
A Jack Daniels.
Ooh, not. Are you a whiskey man like myself as well?
I love the bourbon. Yeah.
If you were a book, what would the title of that book be? First thing.
Solitude and love.
Wow. This section is called Best and Worst, okay? So you will just name it and then tell me. Best and worst audition that you have had.
Oh, the best one was probably Under the Skin.
Okay. How was the audition for that?
Well, you know, the role I went up for, they gave to Stuart Townsend because it was political, right? Okay. You know, it was political, you know, yeah. So they'd already made that thing. So I got one of the other roles, but I just, I went in there, I put all my balls on the line, really. I just went in there and just was totally on it. You know, just really enjoyed it. Just, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
What worst?
Oh, too many to mention.
Come on, your top three. There's so many. I feel like commercial
Oh,
auditions are always the worst.
I went to one in LA, right? So I'm basically, you've got all the studio guys there, right?
Yeah.
All of them there, all the suits down there. And my agent gave me the script sides the night before, right?
Yeah.
So the night before, I've got a flatmate. I've got a row, a fight going on next door. I can't sleep. It's crazy. I've got the script. I've gone in there and totally fucking froze right in front of them all. And totally froze. And I just could feel the room just go. It was humiliating. It was
second or third.
What audition wise or?
Yeah, where were you in this process? Because studio heads come around like the third.
Yeah, no, I was on the third. I was on the third. Okay. But I got the script sides the night before, right, of this new one. I should have just said, listen, why didn't I get those like a few days beforehand? I could have put it back actually.
Yeah. Best and worst advice you have ever gotten?
There's a number of things. I mean, it's a hard one. I mean, wear your cloak loose in life. Wear your cloak loose in life. Don't take everything so seriously.
That's the best or the worst advice?
Best advice. Best advice.
And the worst?
The worst advice? God.
So many.
Do drink, drugs, and win the lottery, and you'll be the happiest man alive. The worst advice you could possibly get.
Who said that to you?
Oh, too many of these. I mean, listen, that's a common denominator a lot. They think that's what's going to make them happy. They win the lottery and they're going to go in and it's going to be no check on their appetites. And these guys die very unhappy.
Best and worst piece of work you have ever been in?
The best and worst. It's hard to say the best. Worst.
You want to be politically correct?
Yeah. I can't. There's too many. There's been a few. It's maybe
you can name the year you did this project in.
Oh, I did a play when I came out of Thingy Bob. It was the director was a fucking nightmare. You know, she'd come out of Oxford and she was just very insecure, very controlling, very micromanaging. I wasn't the easiest one to work with, but just me and her, it was fireworks. You know, and you know, it was so micromanaged. It took all the life out of the production, and we were at butting heads. It was just an unhappy experience. And the lead actress had halitosis, and the other actor had it was everything about it. There was a stench about the production that just. No.
And the best piece of work you've ever been in?
I think there's that year I'm talking about. I think with the hairlines, the castles made of sand, and the Deadly Flames. I think that year was my best work. It was all very different work. I think I can't say which one particularly, but those three. Certainly the most fun.
Best and worst piece of work you have ever seen?
Best piece of work I've ever seen. What, theatre or film?
Anything.
The best piece of work. That's such a hard one. What I've ever seen.
Ooh. 3. Okay, I'll give you 3.
Okay. Iceman Cometh with Kevin Spacey was unbelievable. Was unbelievable. Oh dear God, so much.
Well, you've done film. Maybe do like TV and stage.
Well, I did stage. I mean, Iceman Cometh to stage.
I thought it was a film. Sorry.
Okay, best bit of film I've seen. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Ooh, it's such a tough one. I mean, you know, there's so many good ones. To actually say my favorite.
One of your favorites. That's
Godfather. I think The Godfather was the best film. One of the best films I've ever seen.
I have never seen it until this day.
It's a classic. It's an obvious one, but it's a classic. I mean, And so we've done stage, we've done film,
And TV.
TV. I don't watch much TV. So, but the best TV.
Streaming.
Oh dear me, the best TV. God, I love Brideshead Revisited.
Okay.
You know, very different to those other two things I saw, but very, you know, I thought that was a beautiful bit of work. I thought it was very, very well done. You know?
Any worst you'd care to mention?
Oh, too much. I mean, where'd you start?
Any?
Well, I got to be careful there, you know, because some of it's still, some of it's out there, right? And yeah. I mean, God, where'd you start? There's a lot of it out there.
You can sip your chai for that. Then you can sip your tea for that.
Yeah, I'll just choke on it while I think about it. I'm getting in a bad mood just thinking about it.
No worries. Best and worst critical review or review that you've ever had about your work?
God, I had a terrible review on this Canadian play I did.
Yeah.
It said it was, and I was self-conscious and self-indulgent at the time, and he goes, you know, it started off so well when he came out with his underwear, right? But then
that was the review.
Yeah, but then his self-conscious brooding against the thingy bob, it completely fucking went into me, right? And you know, for good reason. So, and I won't go into the good ones. I've had some good ones as well. You know,
any one that sticks out, maybe just one, or a tagline from that review.
Well, I mean, you know, what, film or stage?
Any.
I mean, I've had some. You know, you see, I stopped reading reviews actually.
Yes.
Quite a bit of time ago, because I realized you give your power away on that stuff, and once you're in it, if you're on a production, you're in it, it can make you terribly, it can really affect you, and it can affect your performance, and it can really, so I'd read it maybe a year later when the plate had gone cold, right? And I learned to discipline myself, but I did go back on some of my reviews. And of course you get actors going, you've got a great review on this one, you've got a really good review, and of course, okay, I'll have a little look on this one, then why not? So I would sneak, you know, I would break it occasionally. But yeah, I got some good ones for Deadly Famous. I've got good ones for, I mean, you know, Four Dogs and a Bone, the Shandy play. I mean, the number of things I've done, you know.
Do you remember your first
More
review?
so recently,
oh, wow.
because of all the stuff we're talking about, being of service, being less combustible, you know, just more, I think that helped my work, you know.
And lastly, best and worst wardrobe you've ever had?
The worst wardrobe was a leopard skin G-string, right?
Was that the one that you just mentioned where you had?
Well, I came on. It was the last take, right, in Deadly Famous, where I had to wear a kimono, right? I was wearing a leopard skin G-string, and I was kind of torturing somebody. So I'm in there doing a little dance, right? Hello, darling. Weird with the whole clown's mask on, right?
Okay.
But the leopard skin G-string was about a size too small. So, you know, it was comedy, yeah?
People go find it, please, and tag Daniel on it if you can.
Don't watch it. It's a really kind of dark film. It's a very, pretty sick, you know.
Oh. Underrated and overrated. Most underrated piece of theatre and overrated piece of theatre.
Underrated and overrated piece of theatre.
Yes.
That I've seen?
Yes.
Okay. Oh dear God. You know, I'm not a big fan of the big musicals. I mean, I'm not a big fan of some of them I am, some of them I'm not.
Yes.
You know, it's some of those kind of really commercial West End productions I think are overrated. They're just, you can see the commerce in. I get bored really, very much so on some of those. I find it a little too sanitized for me. So I think that's overrated, even though they get lots of people coming in. Underrated, God, there's too much to me. I've seen some great plays that never saw the light of day. They didn't really get good reviews.
Any mention on
because
any
there's
of
too
them?
many.
I must say you're being very diplomatic right now. Very diplomatic. I'd like some sauciness here.
You want a bit of gossip, don't you?
Everybody does. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Most underrated and overrated piece of film.
Overrated piece of film. God, any of those, Brooke, what's that guy's name? That Michael Bay films, the Michael Bay films, right? Yeah,
Daniel.
those kind of films. Yeah,
I want to be in one of those films.
Yeah, no, they're probably fun to be on, but yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't really rattle my cage. And underrated films, I love the Fassbender films. You know, those kind of I don't know if they're underrated because they're not, but they don't get as commercially seen, or they haven't been as commercially seen as some of those obvious kind of rom-com type films. But yeah, those rom-com kind of commercial kind of film, the real obvious ones, make me puke. You know, unless they're really well done, I steer well clear of them. Okay.
By the way, can I say, speaking of Michael Bay, you have done action stuff yourself, though.
Yeah, no, I've done action stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
The price was right.
Most overrated.
I do like a bit of action. I do like some action. There's action and action, right? You know, but you know, some of the. I mean, I don't particularly want to spend 2 hours eating my popcorn watching that kind of film.
What is this army militant movie that you did?
That's a Michael Bay film.
Oh,
I'm joking. That was I played an SAS guy, you know, with American sort of green suit going into Afghanistan. One of those kind of films. Yeah.
Lastly, most overrated and underrated actor.
Oh God, you really want some gossip, don't you?
Everybody.
Oh dear me, overrated. There's loads of overrated ones.
Care to mention one?
God Almighty, some of them have got better because you just get better over the years, right? So they started off terrible. I mean, you look at, God, there's too many to mention. I mean,
can I say this is taking me back to this this interview you did for, what is it, Skewed and Reviewed, where you get asked, know any child stars that have gone little off the rails, and you says, I do, but I'll be discreet for this one though. And I just want some, you know.
Okay, an overrated actor, right? Okay, overrated actor. Oh. God, there's so many. Some of them get their paycheck confused with their talent, you see. But, you know, there's a lot of good ones out there, a lot of great ones. So what's the other question?
We'll move on. I'm going to pay you. I'm going to take these earphones out. Hold on for 2 seconds. Hear me? Hello?
Hello.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. This section of the games is called, what was that? I'm going to play you 3 projects that you have done. I'm going to stop them in between, and you have to tell me what the next line is. Okay? And you've been in some great work. So let's do this. Your first project is from your voice reel. Okay? I just need to load this up. Where is it? There you go. Okay. Let me just raise the volume. All right, here we go.
Fingertip save. BT Sport is free with BT Broadband. And now the UK's most complete broadband package is...
What was the next bit?
BT Sports. Something like that. BT Sports. Something like that. I can't remember.
Let's have a little listen.
£10 a month for new customers. BT Broadband customers can watch sport for free.
£10.
£10. My memory's not great.
Visit bt.com. You forgot about that. All right, let me get your next clip up. Are you ready? Let me put it on the full screen. Okay.
Your family. They're all but extinct now. But they were the first. The one last great descendant, your mother.
The one last great descender, your mother. What's after that?
But you. Something like that. But you. I can't remember.
Okay, let's take it back.
I don't watch my films. I never watched them. I watched them once, and that's it.
Let's have a little listen.
The Mandersons were the original family. They're all but extinct now, but they were the first. The one last great descendant, your mother. Beautiful daughter.
And a faithful daughter. Not you. All right, are you ready for the next one? By the way, I love this.
I'm a professional. This could go so many different ways. Just give me something.
Okay, man, early 40s, married, has erectile dysfunction.
It's right here on the page. What are you giving me? Are you really that shallow?
Are you really that shallow? Is your last line. What's your next line?
I'm a professional. I'm a professional. Something like that.
I literally, what was this for, by the way? I think this is literally...
Deadly famous.
I thought this was genuinely very hilarious.
What caused it?
What?
You say what caused it?
Fucking with me.
Okay, I think we're done here.
Nobody's done.
I thought that was really
Men my age will get you.
That was really hilarious. That genuinely tickled me. All right, the next section is where you get to improv. I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios and you have to improv. Are you ready?
Go on.
All right. You are Bob Dylan, but you're doing an audition for a Walker's commercial. Are you ready? Just give me a couple of lines.
You know what? These crisps taste great. Look at them. They're so ethereal and kind of, beautiful down there. But, they're not political. And, you need them to be political down there, right? So, where's George? Right, okay, all right.
Well done. You're a Southern Belle, okay, a beauty pageant Southern Belle, auditioning for an indie sci-fi movie. Beauty pageant winner, Southern Belle, okay? Are you ready?
Yeah.
4, 3, 2, action.
What do I have to do? What do I have to do?
Just do a couple of improvisations, just whatever comes to your head. Lines, movement, whatever it is.
So I can't go in a spacesuit because my head, right, I'm claustrophobic. So I can't wear that stuff. Can you just put a little, like a paper mache sort of thing over me so I can breathe? Okay, good. How's my makeup? Good. Okay, look. You want me to look creepy?
That was good. That was good. Okay. You're now Robert De Niro, okay? And you're doing an advert about Nando's. Robert De Niro selling the latest...
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Are you talking to me, Nando?
Selling the latest chicken...
You're not cheesy enough. I want cheesy. I want cheesy. Where's the paprika on that, right? Are you talking to me? Yeah, you're talking. Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me.
You're selling Nando's. You're selling Nando's.
Okay. So this is a beautiful Nando's, right? You see this? Right? Look at the beautiful potato crisp on that. That is absolute. And you know what? It's got Italian paprika on it. Just like Mama. Okay. All right.
Well done. You got 2 more left.
Good. I wasn't expecting any of this. Come on.
I know. You're a German grandmother auditioning for the recent Kellogg's weight loss cornflakes. And what you just need to do is, in order to audition for this Kellogg's cornflakes, you need to tell me A, about your hobbies, okay? And B, how much weight you've lost. So just a little bit of intro on that. A German grandmother.
Well, my hobbies are knitting, and my hobbies are men. I'm on internet dating, plenty of fish, lots of men over there, and I'm obsessed by younger men, normally 20, 30 years younger. And what's this audition for?
It's for Kellogg's cornflakes for the weight loss. So how much weight have you lost exactly?
I've lost 50 pounds.
50 pounds. Wow, that's great. Thank you so much.
You know how I've lost 50 pounds?
How?
Sex with the younger men. That's the secret to the fountain of youth.
Sex.
That, and look at my face, I've had work done.
What work did you do
my,
exactly?
I had lots of work. I go to Switzerland for great work. My dead husband left me a lot of money.
Ah, beautiful. Last one. Which one would you like to be? Elvis Presley or Freddie Mercury?
What have I got to do?
You're going to do a Shakespeare monologue.
Okay.
Any Shakespeare monologue or a couple of lines that you can remember.
Okay, we'll do Elvis. If you have tears, prepare to shed them now. I remember, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I'll come to bear season not praising. The evil that men do lives after them. The good of that. Anyway, there we go.
Well done. And that was it. That was the end of your improvisation. I was gonna make you do some physical stuff. I thought that would be too much. And well done. Thank you so much for doing that. Last questions to end on, and then I will let you go and you can enjoy the rest of your evening. If you were to look in the mirror today, what words of wisdom would you give to your mirror self today? Or words just in general, you know, to your mirror self.
Don't stress. Don't take life so seriously. Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Do you take life seriously?
Sometimes, yeah.
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 Cut loose. I would think that you'll be a very, very, from just like talking to you, you just have a very free-spirited life energy about you. So that's interesting.
No, I do, generally. I mean, I try and keep things simple. I think that's the key to a good life, is keeping it simple. Don't be cluttered with things. Don't be cluttered with it's all that stuff that will bring you down. Just keep it simple. You don't need all these things. You know, that will bog you down and weigh you down. And just that's what I've learned.
Peaks and valleys is a question I always ask each guest, which is, a peak is the highest point of your personal professional life. What was it and what lesson you learned from it? And a valley is a low point of your personal professional life. What was it and what lesson you learned from it?
Well, you learn more from the defeats, I think, than the wins. But I mean, there's been many down points for me, many low points. Yeah, I mean, I coming back after a 4-day bender and realizing and hearing the birds tweet and realizing I'm living pipe dreams here. You know, all of it's gone. You know, I'm in a shabby basement here. Where's the career gone? Everything's gone. What's the purpose? I'm basically living a very small world. And I was drowning, and then I sort of snapped, and then I changed things after that. That was after years of having loads of these kind of moments. So yeah, that was a low point. So that bleeds in professionally, personally. You know, I was ready maybe to kill myself. You know, that's what it was. I was in a very dark place. You know, I was definitely spiritually gone. You know, mentally gone. I was in a prison in my head. You know, so a high point. I think the high point. One of the high points was that year I'm talking about with the 3 films, because it was so freeing. I had no I just did what I loved, and I turned. It was not about the dough. It was just about the work and just that. I felt uncluttered, completely uncluttered. There was no stress for me. I was. That's certainly. I don't think it's one particular moment. It's hard to say one particular moment.
What did both of those experiences teach you in terms of, just a perspective of life?
Just do what you love. Yeah. Do what you love. Don't get caught up in everybody else's expectation. And, you know, if you're desiring everything and it's all in front of you, you're going to be unhappy. You've got to just have okay, you've got to be working towards stuff, but you've got to be doing what makes you tick and makes you happy, and keeping those good habits. I think it's those simple things, and just appreciating and smelling the roses on the way, and things will come. People, things, it's those little moments, the little meeting somebody in a coffee shop you haven't met before. You just go, wow, you get those or whatever on this. It could come from anywhere.
Nice. Any future projects or things that you would like to talk about and promote, guys, where everybody can find you and things like that?
Well, you know, as I said, I took 3 years out of the acting. I mean, as I said, I've got the actor's crib going, but I've got 3 episodes on a TV show. I auditioned for something a couple of weeks ago, so I'm back in now having had 3 years off. So, you know, I've got a role in this TV show coming up, so that starts in June. And it won't take too much time, which is great. And projects, I keep growing with the Actors Crib, you know, doing the courses. I really enjoyed the masterclass. It took a lot out of me. It took a lot out of everyone else. Everyone was exhausted afterwards. But so yeah, that's it. And I've, you know,
That's that. Well, guys, and last question: what's your favorite chai, aka what's your favorite tea to have?
Oh man, I love fresh peppermint tea, like fresh Moroccan peppermint tea.
Ooh.
Really love that. But I love tea. I love coffee as well. So, you know.
Coffee or tea?
I'm actually more of a coffee drinker, actually. Because I've got a caffeine habit, you know. So I need that buzz. I need those motor neurons to be charged and buzzed and kind of, you know, that comes back to old behavior. You know, I need to be sparked up.
Are you a coffee connoisseur or not really? It just needs to be good coffee.
No, it needs to be good coffee. I'm a bit of a coffee connoisseur. I mean, I make it out of a cafeteria, French cafeteria, but I like good coffee. You know,
Monmouth beans.
Don't like Monmouth actually. I think it's too bitter. No, too bitter for me. That sort of those trendy barista type of coffee shops. I think you would imagine. I find coffee. It's a little bitter for me, that coffee, the Monmouth. I actually prefer a smoother coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit, it's got that similar taste which all those little trendy houses in Shoreditch have. It's a bit bitter. It's a little bit, it's the same in LA. It's the same taste as the ones in LA. It's a little bitter, those little trendy coffee shops. Some of them do, I prefer a smoother coffee.
Got it. Well, that brings us to an end. Thank you so much for doing this. I really, really appreciate this. I will see you next Tuesday. I will drop you a line after this, as I do with everybody. You didn't have to say yes. And the fact that you did this, I really, really am appreciative. And you've been so open. I really, really am very thankful.
But I didn't drop any names. I didn't give you any gossip.
That's still fine. The fact is you were still very much nice in giving your words of wisdom. I would love to have some names, but I think when I meet you in person, because I still have never met you in person, I'll get those names from you then. You will do. And I'll record them. But thank you so much. I really appreciate
this. Thanks, Raimu. Yeah, very great stuff. Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your night. Guys, I'll save this. It'll be on my IGTV. You can go back. And yeah, next week, another guest, 7 p.m. Catch me on there. So Daniel, go to Actors Crib and hit Daniel up. And, you know, come to the Actors Crib. It's a beautiful space to be. Daniel is very nice. He's very nurturing. And I've learned a lot just by going to Daniel's classes. And I cannot wait to do a masterclass as well. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye-bye.